Celebrate the first baby born from a uterus transplant outside of a clinical trial in the world, born here at UAB. This miracle baby is also UAB's first baby born from the uterus transplant program. First up to speak today, we're going to have Anupam Agrawal, the Dean of the Marnix E. Hirsing School of Medicine, then Dr. Paige Porritt, Director of VCA Transplantation here in UAB's Comprehensive Transplant Institute, then Dr. Brian Casey, the Chair of the Division of Maternal Fetal Medicine. We will then have remarks from Mallory, who is UAB's first uterus transplant recipient. So for now, I'm going to have Dr. Agrawal come up.
Thank you very much, Savannah. We're here to celebrate a huge, tremendous milestone for UAB. UAB Medicine's Comprehensive Transplant Institute, the first uterus transplant, as you just heard from Savannah, has welcomed the first baby born from a uterus transplant outside of a clinical trial in the world. And this miracle baby is also UAB's first baby from the uterus transplant program. A variety of factors contributed to this incredible milestone. The investment and vision of UAB medicine leaders, the skill and expertise of faculty across 7 different departments and 5 divisions, they all contributed to the care and success of the patients in this program. And the patients, more importantly, who have dedicated themselves to becoming parents and fulfilling a dream through this program. Today, we are also here to congratulate Mallory and Nick, who are a testament that this program works and can continue to allow families to grow through the gift of uterus transplantation. Here at UAB, our goal and dream for this program is to make this routine for women who want to experience pregnancy and childbirth, but cannot for a variety of health reasons. While we are here celebrating the first baby born, I'm confident that we will celebrate many more births and milestones in the months and years to come. The partnership between physicians and surgeons across different medical disciplines is what makes this UAB's uterus transplant program unique. The shared vision among all of these talented experts to make a patient's dream a reality, this is why we are in medicine. I'm grateful to have watched this program unfold and look forward to continuing to position UAB as a medical leader, not only in our city, state, and region, but also for the world. Thank you all very much for being here. And with that, I would like to call upon Dr. Paige Porritt from our Comprehensive Transplant Unit, the VCA Transplant Program. Paige.
Thank you, everyone. It's an incredible privilege to represent the extraordinary group of people in our UAB team here, as Dr. Agrawal mentioned. And I really appreciate all of you who are joining us both in person, online, and of course our press colleagues to help us celebrate this major milestone for our program, and also to help the world understand the value of uterus transplantation and what it means to the patients who can benefit from this innovative therapy. So briefly, I wanted to introduce everybody to the need for uterus transplantation by explaining for a moment about which patients are served by this new therapy. In short, there is a disease that many of you may or may not be familiar with called absolute uterine factor infertility, and that's the disease that we're treating with this therapy of a uterus transplant. Women with uterine factor infertility have come from various walks of life, but in short, we are taking care of patients who were either born without a uterus or who are lacking a uterus because it was surgically removed, usually to treat another disease. With this transplant, we are accomplishing a number of things. Most importantly, we are enabling women to gestate and to experience pregnancy and ultimately deliver a baby in the way that they want to use to build their families. There are alternatives to uterus transplantation, but none of those alternatives are actually a medical treatment for the disease that brings them to us to seek our care. Uterus transplant is a really special type of transplant, though. It's not a life-saving transplant. It's a transplant that allows us to help couples and patients restore something really important called reproductive autonomy. And I don't have enough time today to talk about all the ways that reproductive autonomy is important, but I think we can all take a moment to reflect on what it would mean for each of us as individuals if we did not have the choice about how we wanted to build our families, with whom, when that happens, etc. And even though many of us have not been born without a uterus, I think that at the end of the day, it is easy for us to understand, at least in some small part, what it would mean to us as individuals if we did not have the choice to actually build our families in the ways that we wanted to do that. I mentioned that uterus transplant is not a life-saving transplant, and I don't think that anybody would confuse the transplantation of a uterus with the necessary life-saving transplantation of a heart, for example, or a liver. But I want to be clear that what we're talking about still here is a vital organ. It's just vital over a different type of time frame than a heart or a liver. The vitality of a uterus transplant, the necessity of it, is something that allows people to build life into the next generation. And it is a transplant that is essentially a legacy transplant that allows us to do the extraordinary thing, which is to have children and build a future well after our lives are over. So it is a vital organ. Again, it's just on a different time frame. The birth that we're here to celebrate today, as Dr. Agarwal mentioned, is a really important milestone. Not because UAB is the first program in the world to do a transplant, not because UAB is the first uterus transplant program in the world to have a live birth. These milestones have been accomplished before. But today's birth, or the birth from a few months ago that we're celebrating today, really signifies what I consider the end of the beginning of uterus transplantation. The program that we are here to talk about today was built outside of a clinical trial. And this is critically important because UAB has now contributed to, I'll call it the next chapter in the field of uterus transplantation, an absolutely critical one where we will move from becoming, I'll call it an experimental therapy in its fledgling and its very first steps in its fledgling state, to actually advancing this therapy to allow eventually one day uterus transplant, we hope, to become a standard of care. And UAB will definitely be centered at the excellence, or to represent the excellence that we have in all of our other transplant programs to accomplish this. The vision and investment that UAB has really brought to this program has been ambitious, and most importantly, I want to emphasize two things that are really different and sets UAB's uterus transplant program apart from other programs in the world. Number one, it's been a primary goal of this program to be accessible to patients, so that, again, this is not a research program that serves a select few, but is a program that over time will continue to grow and be accessible to anyone who needs this type of transplant. Very importantly, our next vision, or the next steps we look to take, are really to ensure sustainability of the program. And so if there's one message that I can leave you with today, or one thing that you can take from my few short words here today, is that we really need all of you, both you in this room as well as many partners to come outside of this room, so that we can actually make this program sustainable beyond just the generosity of one institution for a select few number of patients, but to make this really an accessible transplant that everybody can have. That is critically important. And I would leave you with this, to our potential future partners, that the sum of this is that uterus transplant is about hope, and that these women are missing an organ, and they are as deserving as anyone else to actually have a fix to their problem. And I'm hoping that you'll all join me in making that happen, because we have to do it together. Before I let Dr. Casey speak and really acknowledge the absolutely critical contribution across a number of divisions within the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, I do really appreciate your indulgence in letting me thank a couple of different people here. I really do need to take all of your time today and tomorrow to thank more than probably 100 people who've been participating and making really critical contributions to this program. But I wanted to acknowledge some things specifically that Dr. Agarwal had mentioned about the multidisciplinary nature of this program. As with all types of transplants, we really have the benefit for our patients of leveraging deep expertise across a multitude of different departments and divisions. And along those lines, we're no different with this transplant. And we have colleagues today joining us to celebrate this event coming from pathology, anesthesiology, radiology, nursing, psychiatry, Department of Medicine, and pharmacy, to name just a few. And I'm sure that I've neglected to mention several other critical divisions and departments that have contributed. But I wanted to emphasize that first and foremost, how broad a team we've had, because this is complex medical care. And I know that It is probably not every day that everyone realizes how assisted reproductive technology and transplant can synthesize to do this, but we managed to accomplish it. I will name a few key individuals that I really must bring to your attention. One is first and foremost Emily Boydston, who's here with us today. Emily is our uterus transplant coordinator, and I like to brag about her not just because she's capable, motivated, and brilliant, but most importantly, she is, to my knowledge, the very first and only sole uterus transplant coordinator in the world, which is not an insignificant feat. Secondly, I need to personally thank and always highlight the contributions of my great surgical colleague, Dr. Umaid Rabbani, who's been there from the very beginning and has been a critical surgical co-pilot both in the procurements and the transplants. So thank you, Umaid, for taking on this challenge and coming on this journey with us. Legacy of Hope has been an outstanding and critical partner in this program, as they are in so many of our other transplant programs. And of course, I want to take a moment to recognize the contributions of the donors and the donor families who make uterus transplant, just like all other types of transplant, possible. Dr. Chen and Dr. He are our departmental leaders, our chairs of surgery and OBGYN. And of course, I mentioned many other departments that contributed to this, but without their leadership, this program would not have happened. And two others that I must mention before I get to Mallory. One is, of course, Dr. Jamie Locke, who is the director of the Comprehensive Transplant Institute. And I'll say personally, Jamie, in front of everybody, that I have been really thrilled and privileged to come here and work for you. And I am so excited that you had the vision and the grit and many, many other things to bring this program to the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And I can't wait to see how again, in the future, you're going to continue to change the world for everybody around us. So thank you. Mr. Reed Jones is another person that I must mention by name, because Mr. Jones, given his leadership within the institution, was really absolutely seminal to this program and to the build, and it was not without the support of the institution, the financial support specifically, that we would have been able to achieve this, and really, again, to make UAB a place for translation of this therapy into the real world. And then finally, Mallory. I don't have enough words to express my gratitude to you and all the patients who are going to follow you. Like Dr. Locke, you are going to change the world. You already have. And I can't wait to see how your son there is going to grow and develop and be a world changer as well. So thank you for your courage and for accepting this, hopefully, joyride, as I like to say, most of the time. And we couldn't do it without you and the many others that I hope will do a much better job than I can of helping the world understand how important this transplant is to you, to women who were born without a uterus, and to all the many, many others who actually had their uterus removed. So thank you very much. And now, without further ado, Dr. Casey, if you are, come on up, it's your turn. Actually, thank you guys, but before Dr. Casey, we're going to watch a short video, and then Dr. Casey, I get to introduce you again. All right.
For us, this was I felt like I knew that I was supposed to do this.
Mallory was born without reproductive organs. The ability to take patients with that devastating condition and for them to experience typical pregnancy, I think is important, and that's the huge success.
Even when you're waiting and like every phone call you get, you jump, you think this is going to be the call. You still don't really imagine what it's going to be like. I mean, it just seems so unreal. Until I woke up from surgery, I still was like, this isn't going to happen. Once I got the transplant, I never was like, what if it doesn't work?
The uterus transplant offers another option to an array of options that are out there, and that women's health and reproductive medicine is really about making sure there are options for women.
I had all the stuff, like nausea and really tired and just all the normal pregnancy symptoms, I guess. But I just felt so grateful for every symptom, because it was just a reminder that I was actually pregnant when I wasn't supposed to be, like I never thought I would be. You can see on everybody's faces how big they're smiling, and everybody's just like
caring for a patient with a uterine transplant who's pregnant, it truly is multidisciplinary care, meaning that she had multiple specialties taking care of her. Ultimately, we do have a confidence about the success of this program, the success of these pregnancies. And I agree that with certain patients, I hope that this is an option for them one day, for those with infertility.
Babies being born is always a special event. But, I'm using some strong words here, but I think of these as our miracle babies.
I got to hold him, and I was just very overwhelmed that he was actually there and he was helping.
It's really about restoring hope.
Now, Dr. Casey. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Porritt. As I was preparing my comments for today, I'm reminded by a quote, and you've sort of heard it alluded to earlier, but I think it's worth repeating. And I will paraphrase Dr. Porritt. Organ transplant is typically considered to save lives. But with the development of programs like the uterine transplant program here at UAB, now it can be considered a tool to generate new life. Mallory is one of less than 100 women in the world who have undergone a uterine transplant, and one of even a fewer number of women who have successfully delivered a healthy baby from a transplanted uterus. This represents a remarkable innovation for women who have uterine factor infertility and previously could not have experienced the miracle of childbirth. This program truly represents a multidisciplinary effort between the transplant team and many others, and members from multiple divisions within the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Reproductive Endocrinology, and Dr. Deidre Gunn, Gynecologic Oncology, Dr. Trey Leith and Haller Smith, and Maternal Fetal Medicine, and in this case, Brian Bricado. Uterine transplant is a complicated dance that starts with all of the candidates meeting members of all of the divisions involved in order to discuss the process, what's going to happen to these patients, the risks, and to try to paint a picture of what pregnancy and the delivery is going to look like. The process includes multiple steps, including embryo generation through IVF, procuring a donor, the transplant and recovery itself, and then the transfer and hopefully implantation of the embryo. Once pregnancy is achieved, maternal fetal medicine physicians like Brian Bricado step in and help manage the pregnancy. But the team approach is not through at that point. Members of the team continue to care for women who go through the transplant process and look after their unborn children and prepare for the eventual delivery of those children. Mallory and Nick's journey has been a very exciting one to watch. The delivery of their son represents certainly a first for them, but also a first for us here at UAB and the many members of this remarkable team, to include support persons, coordinators, nurses, and physicians. While this innovative cure for uterine factor infertility is new, it has been especially gratifying for all of us involved at UAB to collaborate together with the goal of bringing new life to mothers like Mallory, women who otherwise could not have experienced new life in that way. And finally, one last comment I'd like to make is I want to finish with a note of gratitude to the organ donors for their generous gifts to women like Mallory, and look forward to more successful stories here at UAB and from this groundbreaking program at UAB. Thank you.
And now we're going to have Mallory come up and give a couple remarks about her experience.
with the majority of my team of doctors here, I wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for getting me from transplant surgery to delivery and all the points in between. The amount of people caring for me is truly humbling. There are a few that I want to give a special thanks to. Dr. Gunn, thank you for making uncomfortable procedures quick and tolerable, but mostly thank you for getting me pregnant. I'll never forget your excitement after the transfer and the hope that you gave me. Dr. Smith and Dr. Lee, thank you for lending your expertise to my care. You both were so crucial to my surgeries and recoveries. You made my post-op recovery smoother with your attentiveness and your kindness, so thank you. Dr. Casey, I loved when you would pop into my Thursday appointments. You always made me smile, but more importantly, you made me feel confident that everything was going well and under control. And most importantly, thank you for safely delivering my baby. Sorry. Dr. Sinke and Dr. Shea, thank you both for helping to bring my son into the world. I've got photos of his birth, and I can see the smiles on your faces, even under your masks. Emily, I'm convinced there has never been a better transplant coordinator, which apparently there is not another transplant coordinator. I didn't know that until just a few minutes ago. From every single appointment to every prescription refill, you were always on top of it all. And the fact that you text me to check up on me even when you're out of the country on vacation shows that this is more than just a job for you. I'm beyond thankful to have you as on my care team, but also to have you as my friend. Dr. Mercado, he went way above our expectations for maternal fetal care. He made me feel safe in scary situations and always so well cared for. Thursday mornings were always my favorite time of the week when I got to go for my MFM appointments. Dr. Mercado treated us more like family than just another patient, and it breaks my heart that he couldn't be there to deliver the baby. But I was so incredibly fortunate to have him as my MFM to get me safely to that point. And last, but the very opposite of least, Dr. Porritt, I find it very difficult to portray how thankful I am for you. Not only for the obvious, transplanting my uterus and giving me the incredible opportunity to experience childbirth and pregnancy, but for being so compassionate and caring throughout my entire journey here at UAB. Anytime I had a painful or stressful procedure, she was always the first to grab my hand. And when I would go through trying times and feel emotionally low, I would talk to her and feel so much better. She is truly an exceptional person and incredible surgeon. I'm so very fortunate to be a part of this program that she really helped to build. I've had an amazing experience that I truly enjoyed, thanks to Dr. Porritt and my entire team. I can't wait to watch the program grow and continue to give many other women the opportunity that I was given. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mallory. That was amazing. We're going to conclude the event today. Afterwards, if media would like to get an interview with Dr. Porritt, we can do so out in the hallway. But thank you all for attending today, and we look forward to more milestones from this program.